I want to talk to you guys today about an instance or experience of God's grace in my life. Just a few months ago, a friend of mine and I were hunting near the Mississippi River, and it had been a long morning, and so as we're coming back, we're kind of lost in our own world. We're a little tired. If you know anything about West Tennessee area, it's very, very flat. As flat as this tabletop. It's right as you get off the river, there's an 8 to 12 foot levee that the Corps built to kind of hold floodwaters in. And so we're driving along, and my friend's driving. We're going about 60, 65 miles an hour. I'm looking out the window, looking for ducks in the field. He's dialing on his cell phone, waiting for, trying to check his messages and see what's going on with the messages on his phone. And all of a sudden, I don't know if you've ever felt this, on a roller coaster, when you feel your stomach kind of leave you, suddenly we both had that feeling at the same time. As we're going along, we didn't realize we had come to the levee. So without hitting his brakes, we hit the levee at full speed. The car that we were in went airborne. The top of the levee. The road we were on teed at the bottom of the levee on the other side. It teed into a major highway. And so, completely unaware of what's going on, we hit that and we were airborne all the way across. The car hit on the center line of the highway and skidded off the road. Now, where does God's grace come in? The road used to continue on. So on the other side of the levee was an old roadbed grown up in trees with a big culvert. It just so happened that we hit it so perfectly square that our car continued to veer off of that. We were airborne. Later we went back and looked. We were airborne for 55 feet, and we skidded for 37 feet before we came to a stop against a small tree. On either side of this one-lane road that we were on now, it dropped off to 12 to 15 foot of murky, swampy water. And so I believe in all my heart that God was with us that morning. Because at that time, there's no real explanation for how we could have landed where we landed without divine intervention. And I believe in my heart that God's grace was there. The funniest part of this whole thing is that from the time we were airborne until the time the car came to a complete stop, there was no sound whatsoever inside the cab of the car. We didn't scream. We didn't curse. There was not even a prayer. I never even unfolded my hands. My hands were laying on my lap just like this through the entire ordeal. When the car finally comes to a stop and hits the tree, we sit there. The only noise you hear is the operator saying, "If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again." That was it. That was the only thing going on in the car at that time. But in order for us to get out of this, I had to step out and help my friend back up. When I got out of my car on the passenger side, I had to hold on to the car to keep from falling off the bank. He couldn't get out on his side. It's as if God was there. He picked us up and placed us right in the most perfect place for us to land. There was no one around. If we had fallen off in the water, who knows what could have happened. But it's the grace of God that interacted in our life at that moment. And it just kind of goes to show one thing that I feel like is an important part of all of our walk. So sometimes we go through life and we don't always have attention. We aren't always focusing on what we need to be focusing on. But God is always watching out for us. And if we trust in Him, He'll see us through. Sometimes calamity falls upon us, and we can't help that. But sometimes it's the grace of God, and we need to be aware of that. It was not luck that we landed where we landed. It was the hand of God working on us that day. And I also know that when God does something like this, there's always something that comes out of it to bring Him glory. We have been able to share this story with groups of teenagers, to talk to them about the dangers of texting while driving and talking on their phones while driving. And it's a lot easier sometimes to come across when it's a story of tragedy that gets people's attention. This is a story of second chances. So it allows us not only to talk to them about this, but to talk to them about their relationship with Christ. This is the grace of God in action in my life on that particular day. And it's something that I will never, ever forget. So, some of the questions I'd like for you guys to kind of help us with is, what did you like about the presentation? And why did you like it?
I liked it because it was primarily a story. We had some reflections on it, but the story is what dominated, and that held my attention.
I liked it. It was believable. Not only in the telling of the story, but in the happenings as well. You know, I believe you actually did the thing and skiing.
And you don't even know me that well, but you know, hey, he could be that big of a redneck.
But you know what a culvert is.
What did you find meaningful about the presentation? Did anything step out that was meaningful to you?
God, she's so very lucky to have you all. And she regularly said yes, so
I'm kind of biased, but I like to have you tied in with youth ministry.
I can relate to the story. A similar thing happened to me. Car wreck. Didn't have my seatbelt on. Flipped the car several times. Landed perfectly in the ditch on all four wheels.
Oh, wow.
No scratch.
No explanation for that, is there? Tomorrow morning, what will you remember about this little presentation?
check your phone while you're driving.
Your hands folded while you're
Yeah.
about to slide into a tree. Flying through the air.
You seem like the Duke of Hazzard.
That's it.
That's it. Side note to the whole story, I never ride with him anymore. I always volunteer to drive. Did I use any words or phrases that stood out or captured your attention?
Someone say yes. They're very descriptive.
We kind of hit the one, was my witness believable, and you kind of talked about that. And, it is a very true story, by the way, not made up or embellished. But were you at ease or comfortable listening to me? Did I do anything to make you kind of feel like uncomfortable while you were listening?
Well, the story is a tense story. Similar experiences, I think, kind of brings back some anxiety, but that's not, you didn't make us nervous. I think that's more of how emotionally involved I was. So at ease may be the wrong word, but captivated, drawn in, feeling some anxiety, but that's part of their story.
And what is one thing that I should change to make the presentation stronger? Whether it be a mannerism or language or anything, what's one thing I can do to make it stronger?
Make that story stronger, or
The presentation
just
stronger.
okay.
I've seen you on Sunday morning. You don't fidget like this much, and I think it's because of the camera.
And
But,
small groups, I do better in
Mm-hmm.
front of a bigger group.
But yeah, I did notice that.
So it's less at ease.
I was saying on Sunday mornings, you look much more comfortable, but in here, in this, you look a little more uneasy.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I think you spoke a little faster than normal, and for someone like me who pays a lot of attention to detail with my job, I would get caught on words. Levy. What's a levy? Oh yeah. I know everybody in here probably knows what a levy is, but I had to think about it for a minute.
Now we know, bye-bye Miss American Pie.
To the levy, that's right. And I know it's Hellman, but it's just, you spoke quicker in here than you normally do. I think it's the same thing because of that.
Excellent job. That's gotta be weird. For lack of a better term.
It reminds me, though, of what Phyllis Tickle said to a peer group I was with in June, and that is, when you're sharing the faith, don't share propositions. Tell others of the faith in stories, and you did well. A life experience story, not a made-up story, but a life experience story. Good.
Well, thank you guys for